It's my privilege to call this meeting of the Metropolitan Action Commission Board of Commissioners meeting to order Thursday, June 25th, 2020. In order to conduct this meeting electronically, we need a motion. Would someone make that motion, please?
Motion.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second from who?
Second.
Sharon Hunt, second.
All right, thank you. All right. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone who disapproves, say no. And any abstentions, the motion's carried. All right. Now we'll go on to the agenda, and I think we need to call the roll. Is that correct? All right. Casey Anderson. Leslie Buggs. Tanisha Cobb.
Present.
Bonita Davis.
Here.
Karen Doty.
Here.
Thank you, Karen. Kathy Floyd Buggs. Osmond Gabor.
Here.
Thank you. Jim Harbison. Jim, where are you? Okay. Sharon Hurd.
Here.
Thank you. Fo Kidd.
Here.
Joseph Mitchell.
Here.
Jeffrey Moses. Jeffrey. Christina. Renee Pratt. Sofa Zurara.
Here.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, appreciate that. All right, getting into the agenda now.
I think I couldn't get it off mute. It's Casey. I'm here.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Moving to the agenda now, we'd like to have a motion to approve the May 28th meeting minutes.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the May 28th.
And Bob, thank you. And we need a second?
Second.
Second.
All right. I need the person who makes the motion to announce their name, and the person who announces the second, please give us your name. So,
Flo Kidd announced the first one.
Okay. And the second was from?
Joseph Mitchell.
Joseph Mitchell, thank you. Any additions or corrections to those minutes? All right. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone who disapproves, say no. And any abstentions. The motion's carried. All right. I need to appoint some committees, and I'm so thankful that I can see everybody and hear their names. So Bylaws Committee, that's going to be Osmond Gabor, chairperson. Members, Karen Doty and Jim Harbison. Thank you for accepting. Finance Committee, Chair Bonita Davis. Members, Christina Naba McKinney and Sofa Zuara. Please forgive me for messing up your name. Thank you for accepting. Nominating Committee, Florence Kidd, Chair. Members, Kathy Floyd Buggs and Renee Pratt. Thank you for accepting.
Well,
Personnel Committee, Casey Anderson, Chair. Members, Bonita Davis and Leslie Buggs. Thank you for accepting. And Program Head Start, Joseph Mitchell, Chair. Members, Casey Anderson, Flo Kidd, Jeffrey Moses, and the board representative of the Policy Council is Joseph Mitchell, and the board alternate representative to the Policy Council is Casey Anderson. Thank you for accepting. Program Sufficiency, Chair Karen Doty. Members, Talisha Cobb, Sharon Hurd, and Renee Pratt. Thank you for accepting. Executive Director, Evaluation Ad Hoc Committee, Leslie Buggs, Chair. Casey Anderson, Bonita Davis, Osmond Gabor, Benita Nava McKinney. And usually I get a dirty look, but now since I can't see you and you can't give me a dirty look, you all accept it. Thank you so much.
Dr. Steele, wait a minute. Whoa. Are you going to have Ricky send us these in writing since you,
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
so it's so lovely to give our names out like that. Oh, you are just a piece of work. Well, thank you. But we do need it in writing.
Yeah, I think they call it voluntold, is what it was.
I can't write as well as you can talk fast.
Thank you for accepting, and thank you for the compliment. Okay. Let's see. The bylaws committee's meeting is going to be deferred to August. The nominating committee meeting is going to be deferred to August. Okay. And now we're going to go to the executive committee's executive director's report. Dr. Kroon, please rescue me.
Thank you, Dr. Steele. Actually, the Personnel Committee is supposed to report. We did meet regarding the job descriptions and the organizational structure that I will be presenting today.
I'm here if you want me to announce it.
Okay, so that's Casey Anderson.
We had a great meeting of the Personnel Committee and reviewed and met with Dr. Kroon about what she's about to talk about, but she'll do a much better job than I will, so we'll turn it over to her.
Okay, well, thank you. If Lisa will pull up the new org structure, board members, you will remember that we had, during our strategic planning meeting back in February, we laid out several things that we wanted to do in terms of looking forward. In addition to that, you are aware that when the budget passed recently, it dissolved the Nashville Career Advancement Center and then moved several of those units into our organization. So today what I'm going to do is lay out what our structure will look like now that we have the additional pieces added to our organization, and we'll be happy to take any of your questions. On the screen, the first item you see is the executive leadership team as it will be going forward, effective July 1. The Board of Commissioners, of course, the Executive Director, the Administrative Services and Operations Division, which is an existing unit, Communications, which I'll talk a little bit more about later. Probably the biggest change is Early Education and Youth. Family and Community is also a change. Transformation and Innovation, as you know, is new and was funded by the Kresge Foundation, and Workforce. So these are the position titles that will be a part of the agency executive leadership team. Lisa, if you'll go on to the next slide, it'll allow me to explain this a little more. Under Administrative Services and Operations, we will have this unit adds the finance division. Currently, finance is not a part of any particular unit. It's its own unit. So this unit will add compliance. Compliance currently sits within the respective programs. All compliance will move to this division. Facilities, again, finance, human resources, which currently reports directly to me, will also be in this division. And transportation. This is as it was originally written when Karen Crook was in this role. I think many of you all will remember Karen has retired recently, and so we will go back to the original structure with the addition of the compliance unit. Lisa, next slide, please. The communications division, which was formerly Ms. McCready, serving as the special assistant to the executive director. She will become the director of communication. Mr. Mitchell, it's possible that if you're also by phone that we might be getting a little pushback. I think you're good now. Okay, so it also adds community engagement to this division. That will be headed by Ms. McCready. As you all know, she already handles our communications piece. It eliminates the special assistant to the executive director. and just focuses her as being the Director of Communications. Next slide, please. This again probably represents one of our largest changes. Head Start used to be an actual division. As you all know from the retreat, the decision was made that we would not have our divisions titled based on programs, but rather based on services that we are delivering. And so this is one example. It will now be called Early Education and Youth. It will no longer be called the Head Start Division, and that's because we bring in Opportunity Now and the Youth Division into our agency that was formerly a part of NCAC, and this division becomes Early Education and Youth. Lisa, next slide. Family and Community used to be Community Services. That was Marvin Cox. And as you all will remember, Family and Community Services, or Community Services, included energy assistance. It included workforce, MAC for Jobs. All of that was one unit. That is now being split. And the unit is now called Family and Community. It will be headed by Mr. Cox. That is where we still do our rent and mortgage related services, as well as our energy assistance and our services to seniors, are all in that particular unit. Lisa, next slide, please. As you know, we are inheriting the Workforce Division from NCAC. And so the Workforce Division was formerly a part of our Workforce Division was formerly a part of Community Services. It now will combine our workforce with the workforce unit from NCAC that we are bringing over. And it will add the Adult Education unit will now be reporting to Workforce. Green Jobs, which is a new initiative that's coming into the agency with NCAC. This is a grant that NCAC formerly had that is being transferred over to Metro Action Commission that focuses on training individuals for green jobs. And then our MAC for Jobs unit will also be under Workforce. That means our GED, English as a second language, our CDA certifications, and our CompTIA certifications. Now everything will be under the Workforce unit. Next slide, please, Lisa. Transformation and Innovation. This unit was added as a part of the Kresge funding. It moves all of our data team members into one unit. They will now be under Transformation and Innovation. Our 2Gen work will be managed out of this particular unit. And all special projects. One of the special projects that will be coming over that has already been switched to Metro Action Commission's name that you all approved at the last board meeting is VOCA, which is a Victim of Crimes Act grant that will be administered now by our organization. This is a new grant for us. It's $500,000. It has $125,000 match associated with it. That will be under the Transformation and Innovation unit. Lisa, next slide, please. This may be a little difficult for those of you who are on screen to see, but I will just sort of go through some of the title changes or position changes and give the names of the individuals associated with those changes. You will see a number of job descriptions that were sent to you for your approval so that we could move forward with getting our positions in place. The Director of Communications is Lisa McCready. As mentioned, Lisa was formerly the Special Assistant to the Executive Director. The Director of Early Education and Youth will be Ms. Belva Weathersby. Belva will be coming on in an interim capacity on July 13th. She will be responsible for the entire Early Education and Youth Division. Belva is currently the Head Start Collaboration Office Director for the state of Tennessee. She also, her background also is as a former Head Start Director, and she did some youth work during her time in Atlanta. The Director of Family and Community Programs will be Mr. Marvin Cox. Director of Workforce is Tanya Everenson. Tanya is one of the team members that was formerly with NCAC. The Assistant Director of Early Education, that means the person who will be focusing on the Head Start side that's a part of the Youth Division, will be Dr. Farrah Fondren. The Assistant Director of Youth is Ellen Zinkowitz. Ellen is formerly also with the Nashville Career Advancement Center. She will be coming over. Ellen will be responsible for the Opportunity Now program. The Community Engagement Coordinator would be Mr. Dedrick Jones. Dedrick is currently a site-based manager at the North location. The Early Head Start coordinators will be Chanel Burton and Amanda Kierzak. Currently, Amanda Kierzak is the only person that is in that role. We will be adding Chanel because, as you all will remember, all of the Early Head Start sites will now be in our buildings. We will no longer have a partnership with the McNeely Center. We will be 100% operating our Head Start classrooms, all 120 children, without using a partner. The Green Jobs Coordinator will be Mr. Ricky Gardner. He will serve in that capacity to help really focus on not just how many people are trained through Green Jobs as they currently look at, but Ricky is really going to be focused on how many people are employed. And so he will assume that responsibility for the organization to ensure that the data is being tracked and that we're assisting people in actually getting jobs. The Health and Nutrition Coordinator is currently unassigned. This position, this structure actually eliminates the Nutrition Coordinator. It combines the Health and Nutrition Coordinator together, and then the Nutrition Department, as you all know, that does food for the entire agency and for all of our food programs, will be its own unit. It will no longer sit as a part of the Head Start program. The Learning and Development Coordinator, that's moving an L&D person into Human Resources, is Stephanie Mabry. Stephanie currently serves as a Head Start training assistant for the agency. The Parent Involvement Specialist, instead of having one, we will have 3. You approved that in our last meeting, and the federal Head Start program is funding those 3 individuals. Clay Fairchild, who is formerly with NCAC, will assume one of those positions. Robert Vickers, who is currently the trainer for the agency, is transferring into one of those positions. And we have a new hire starting on June 22nd. The program manager who will handle our ERSI, which involves our enrollment and our parent involvement under the Head Start that's funded through Head Start, is Dr. Stephanie Ross. Stephanie is currently a site-based manager for the Dudley Head Start Center. She will be moving into this role. Quality assurance and compliance will now have 3 individuals. Those 3 individuals all currently work for the organization, just in different capacities. Giovanni Carvajal, Brenda Gill, and Jerry Walker will be in our compliance unit. They will be, as I mentioned earlier, a part of the Administrative Services and Operation Division. Special Projects Coordinator is Rod DeVore. He was formerly with NCAC. Rod is the person who is responsible for the VOCA grant. And so he will be joining our organization effective July 1. Our youth coordinators, Katina Bass and Jody Williams, were formerly with NCAC. They'll be coming into the youth division. And then the youth technology coordinator, Janicia Eubanks, currently works for the agency as an education training assistant. She moves into that role. So that covers the change that we have made as a result of the restructuring, the adding of these additional units that we believe gets the right gifts in the right seats so that we can continue to move forward with the work of Metropolitan Action Commission. I know that that was a lot to try and explain. And so, Dr. Steele, I can either stop and take people's questions at this time regarding what I've talked about, or I can wait to the end of my report, whichever is your pleasure.
I'd like to have questions now, if there are questions or comments now.
This is Benita. Cynthia, I only had one question, and it's under the parent involvement specialist. It says new hire starting June 22nd. And since we've passed that date, has the person already been hired and is in some type of training, or is that supposed to be July 22nd?
No, she is here, and she, I think, has gone through her onboarding and is in training this week, is my understanding.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments, please?
Yes, this is Sharon Hurd. I just wanted to comment that and congratulate Dr. Kroom on an outstanding job. I can tell you that the council voted unanimously once it was discussed on the capabilities and the leadership that Dr. Kroom has provided. There were no questions, but 100% support behind her in all of the changes that are being made. And I know personally of being involved in workforce development, knowing that Metro Action Commission has an outstanding reputation for all of the work that they've done from children all the way to adults. And I'm just so very pleased and proud to be a part of this board, so I can just boast about this outstanding organization in Metro. And I just want to thank you all for everything that you do.
Thank you, Council Lady. We appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Dr. Kroom, would you finish your item?
Okay, that's all that I have on the restructure. I do have a request later from the board once we get to items requiring board action. I do want to just mention a couple of things related to Head Start. We're still waiting on our notice of award. The notice of award is our funding for next year. As you all know from historically, sometimes that arrives literally on June 30th. And so we're still waiting for our notice of award. We are in contact with them. And so we know that they have, that they are working on it, in addition to additional dollars that we will also be receiving from them, that some of which have already come before you, in addition to our normal award, and 1.3 million that will be provided related to COVID funding. And then I think, as previously mentioned, we were also told that we would get an additional $500,000 in one-time funding to help us get the classrooms ready for early Head Start, and to assist us with an additional playground at one of our locations as a result of the changes that we are making. So as soon as the NOA it has arrived, we will bring that before the board. I think I should also mention that we are expecting that the changes that we're making to the organization, which are pretty substantial, will take place over the next 15 days. By June, I think 8th or July 8th, we expect to have all of the former NCAC team members that will be coming to us transitioned into their new roles. As you all know, we are in the process of looking for a new location. And as I mentioned last meeting, Tanya Simmons from our unit has done a fantastic job of finding seats for everyone, as we're still trying to get things worked out with where our main location will be moving to. I think that concludes my report at this time. If there are any additional questions, I look forward to responding to them.
Are there any other questions? All right. Room 4.
This is Jim Harbison. Can I just jump in on one thing for Dr. Kroom?
Sure.
We have a new structure, a new place called Envision Center at Sudekum Napier. We just remodeled it. And we are using that to bring together services for all of our low-income residents and as best we can in one place. We do have room there. If you want to talk about if you need space, we've got room there. We just remodeled it. So just an idea you may want to pursue with us. If you do, give me a call.
Thank you, Jim. All right, Roman numeral 4, the Finance Committee report. Benita?
Yes, I have reviewed and signed, and Robert Wright will be making the report.
Thank you. Robert?
Yes, ma'am. If Lisa will pull up, if you remember last board meeting, we still needed to have the April CACFP. We were still reconciling that, so I wanted to present that because it was pending reconciliation of our offsite. You remember we were serving meals offsite since the kids were out of school during this pandemic, and so that's what we'll be approving first, and it's 2 pages, and you will see that at the bottom, if you'll scroll up a little bit, you'll see at the bottom the first few places there's no breakfast, lunches, or administrative fee because there was no kids in our centers. The next section, when we show 5,402, that's the number of kids that we have in our Child Plus system, or siblings of those kids that are in our Child Plus system that we're getting reimbursed for, that we served during the month of April. And below that is the total other meals that we serve for other children that would have attended other schools in Metro Nashville. Of course, we do not get reimbursed for adults. So those are kids under 18 that were not in our Child Plus system. And that was $12,247. So the total reimbursement that we could apply for was $96,848.89. And if you'll see the next page, go on through and keep going, you'll see, go to the next page and you'll see that we drew down the $96,848.89 for the April meal served. So that concludes the rest of the April financial statement presentation. Now we will move to the May financial statement. Okay, as she's rotating that where we can see it. If you'll notice that all our ending fund balances are either zero or in the positive amount, which is good. You will see I have a note, it's kind of tiny, but I wanted to make sure that the board was aware that we did get our $600,000 of where we asked for a waiver request of our local match. Remember, we're at 80-20% grant. We match the 20% local funds or in-kind dollars. So because we're able to waive that $600,000, we are able to return some of that. Our intent is to be able to return some of that local match that we would have needed otherwise in a regular Head Start fiscal year. We're able to return some of those funds back to Metro government, hopefully. So that's our intention. Also, I wanted to make you aware that we had a LIHEAP audit where they came in and audited us for 4.5 years. They looked at data covering the period of 6/30/2015 all the way through December of 2019, 12/31/2019, and I'm glad to report that the agency had no reportable deficiencies or findings in the report that was dated May 21st, 2020. So that was good news. And if you'll see on the Head Start match there, I have lowered the Head Start in-kind budget cash match, in-kind and or cash match to the $3,021,000. That's taken the $600,000 off of it that was on previous reports, because now that we have approval that we don't have to provide the total $3.6 million that we had to in the past is $3,021,000, and you can see the figure below that, the $3,060,000. We have now made our match at the end of May 31st, so we have matched all of our required in-kind at the end of May 31st. And of course, Benita signed this document and she has reviewed it. If you would turn to the next page, you will see this is our in-kind report. Again, this is where we have some volunteer hours, depreciation expenses from our buildings, and the local cash match that Metro put in during the fiscal year. And all this totals up to the $3,060,000 that ties back to the front page showing. So that's a detailed breakdown of how we matched our in-kind dollars. All right, if you'll go to the next page, please. Okay, now we're going to start reviewing the credit cards for the month of May 2020. And the first one is Ricky McQueen. And of course, she handles our travel, as most board members are already aware of. She handles the travel expenditures for the agency, registration, and because of the pandemic, COVID-19, none of our staff is traveling. And so there was no expenditures for Ricky. And it is reviewed and signed by Executive Director Dr. Kroom, myself as the CFO, and Ricky as the card holder, signing off that that is correct. If you'll turn to the next one, this is Sharon Suggs' credit card. And again, since we had no, a lot of times you will see where she's buying meals for special diets for the kids in our Head Start program. And since there were no kids in the classrooms, again, her credit card, there were no expenditures for the month of May. And again, it was reviewed by the appropriate people and signed off on. Okay, if you will turn to the next page, you will see Dr. Kroom's business credit card. And again, she has no transactions for the month of May. Okay, and then you go to the last one. And this is my credit card. And the only transactions I had were for thermometers, where the state of Tennessee had a special deal with a vendor that they were able to get these electronic thermometers, or I don't know if they're electronic, battery operated thermometers, where they are checking our temperatures as we come into our facility. And we're also checking at our Head Start centers and all the buildings that we occupy, that we're checking the temperature of our staff and anybody that enters our building. And so we were able to purchase these at a good price and use my credit card to do that. I think we got 101 thermometers purchased for that. And then if you'll turn to the last page, again, this is the CACFP report for May. And if you'll scroll to the bottom, you'll see how many, again, we were still serving these meals at our offsite places, like we had one at Aldi's and just different places around the community where we're trying to meet the needs of children that were not available to attend due to the pandemic. And the first figure, the 1,010 breakfasts and lunches are again the kids that are in our Child Plus system and their siblings. And the total other meals are for other kids less than 18 that attended Metro Nashville schools that were in our community. And again, the adults are not included in here because we cannot get reimbursed for those. So for the month of May, we were able to get $45,266.39 based on the reimbursement rates. And if you'll go down to the following pages, go to the last page, keep going, and you'll see that that was just the detail back behind that 45,000. If you'll go to the following page, thank you. And this is where she rotates this. You will see that my staff breaks this down, and we submit and draw down the funds for breakfast, lunches, and then the small administrative fee that we get. And we had no supplements, of course. And so we had a total of 45,000 that the fiscal office, the accounting office drew down. And that concludes both reports, financial reports for this board meeting. And I'll be glad to take any questions at this time.
Robert, I'd like to add just a couple of pieces to the report for the benefit of the board. You'll notice there's a substantial difference between the meal reimbursement for the month of April, between the months of April and May. After a while, we shifted from a Monday through Friday meal distribution and moved to a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday in-person distribution. And then from Thursday to Monday, we worked with Second Harvest and were able to provide meals that we gave to those families that would take them from Friday. Well, they would pick up on Thursday and they would have enough meals to get them back to Tuesday. So you will notice a reduction in the amount of reimbursement from CACFP because that was not our sole source for being able to get meals to families through our partnership with Second Harvest and being able to make sure that we had meals for families that took them through that weekend time frame, which allowed some of our team members not to have to be in direct face-to-face sort of activities with the public in an effort to try and protect them from the virus.
Thank you, Dr. Krumer.
Thank you. I need a motion to approve the report, please, and state your name.
Moses approves.
Thank you. And a second?
Leslie Buggs.
Thank you, Leslie. All right, we have a motion and a second. Are there any questions or concerns about the report? Hearing none. All in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Anyone who disapproves say no. Any abstentions? The motion is carried. Thank you. Roman numeral 5, items requiring board action, job descriptions. Dr. Kroom, I think you probably explained that, but go ahead. Uh-oh.
I'm sorry, I apparently decided I was just going to talk to myself since I was still muted. These are job descriptions that are part of our restructure. We're having to get all of those positions that are coming in from NCAC. Those job descriptions have been revised based on what those activities will be with Metro Action Commission. And so the board is required to approve all job descriptions. So we're asking for your approval. We emailed these to you so that you would have them. I should note, Lisa, please don't move past this one if you'll scroll back up. I should note for the Assistant Director of Youth Services, this is both true for the Assistant Director of Youth Services and the Assistant Director of Early Education. We're recommending also that the not that their salaries are at this point necessarily, but that where their salaries currently sit is beyond the maximum. And so we will be requesting your approval as a part of this job description that the maximum amount will be increased because the two individuals going into these positions already have salaries that exceed this dollar total based on the number of years that they've been in Metro government. So I wanted to make sure I mentioned that. In addition to that, you will notice that there are a number of job descriptions that we are asking the board's approval. If you have any questions about any of the job descriptions that are before you that were previously sent out, I will be more than happy to take your questions at this time.
Could I have a motion to approve the job descriptions, plural, and a second. And announce your name, please.
This is Sharon Hurd, and I will move to approve the job descriptions, but I do have a question, and I can save it until after the motion passes.
Yeah, thank you. And we need a second.
Joseph Mitchell, I second.
Thank you. And questions?
Yes, Dr. Kroom, I do know that there is in motion, or actually it has already been approved in the budget for there to be planned, what's the word? I guess a new pay plan for Metro employees in certain positions. But as it relates to this position and as these people transition into Metro Action, how is that going to affect those positions that you already have? Because I know that there tendency to be a disparity when it comes to those areas that have historically served communities of color, and which of course I think it's unfair, and that should definitely be addressed. And I wanted to make sure that I was on the right track in making sure that all of this was in alignment for those consistent positions that you have already with Metro Action.
Thank you, Dr. Kroom.
Yes, so what we're doing, as you know, we have our own pay plan that's separate from Metro government. And so the positions that we are doing have set up are directly in line with our positions. So even if someone, let's say we have at least 2 individuals, and this will be coming back before the board, whose positions, even though we may not be reducing their salaries, they will have a salary freeze for a period of a certain number of years to ensure that their salary does not continue to increase. That would put them out of line with where the folks are in Metro Action Commission. And then one of those individuals is one of our employees already. So we do have a plan in place to assure that nobody is sort of being brought in a way that puts them out of line with our structure. But because we are completely restructuring our organization, we really have not attacked our own pay plan to make sure that it can accommodate that restructure. And so there are some positions where we're simply saying we need to move the max of this position until our entire pay plan can be redone. We don't want to redo ours until we see and have a chance for our personnel committee to look more closely at how Metro has realigned theirs. I hope that answers your question.
It does. That's a great answer, but there's no time like the present. And even if you need some assistance from Metro HR, please reach out to them. And if I can be of any assistance in doing that, or but I'm trying to say this nicely without. If I can encourage it in any way, please let me know.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Lady. We have a motion and a second. Are there any other questions, or is there any other concern about this motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Anyone who disapproves say no. Any abstentions? The motion is carried. Thank you very much. Dr. Kroom, community needs evaluation.
I'm not quite there yet. I'm actually still on job descriptions.
Okay.
I do have a request from the board, because our next meeting is not until August. That as we are trying to get everything in place related to our job descriptions, I am requesting that the board grant permission either to the personnel committee of the board or the executive committee of the board to approve job descriptions that might come up prior to our August board meeting. Of course, they would bring that back before the board, but I am requesting that the board approve either the personnel committee or the executive committee, whichever is the board's choice, to be able to approve some of the additional job descriptions that are part of this restructure.
All right, since there is no motion on the floor, let's at least have a discussion about which one of those committees we need to give this to. Dr. Groom, do you want to make a recommendation?
I think either would be appropriate, but I would like to understand what the pleasure of the board is. It's a matter that normally would come before the personnel committee of the board, but if the board's preference is for the executive committee, which includes the personnel committee to review them, I don't have a preference either way. I just want to make sure that the board sort of decides what its pleasure is, whether you want to work through the personnel committee or the entire executive team.
The entire executive committee, I guess, would be good.
I think the entire executive committee as well. I think that's appropriate.
Right.
Okay. So would you like to give us a motion for that, please? Hello, Kid?
I'd like to move that we have the executive committee to look at it.
Casey Anderson, second.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Anyone who disapproves, say no. And any abstentions, motion is carried. And so approval of these job descriptions that Dr. Crew mentioned will be handled by the executive committee, correct? Right. Okay. Letter C, employee handbook. No, B, ma'am. Oh, I skipped one. Oh, yeah. Thank you. Community needs evaluation. I was trying to get past that. Dr. Crew.
Yes, thank you. As you all will recall, we have permission as a part of our community services block grant funding that we use the community needs assessments that is done by Metro Social Services each year. And so we're making the board aware that the community needs evaluation is available, and also asking the board's approval for our use of this tool when we're submitting information to our funders about needs in the community.
All right. We need a motion to approve use of a community needs evaluation that is done. I've forgotten, I've lost some words. Approve that motion, and we need a second.
This is Benita. I move that MAC is allowed to use the community needs evaluation done by Metro Social Services.
Thank you so much. You rescued me. A second, please.
Casey, second.
Thank you. All right. Any discussion of that motion? All right. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Anyone who disapproves, say no. Any abstentions? The motion is carried. Thank you very much. Okay. Letter C, I think that's where we are. Employee handbook. Dr. Croom.
Dr. Steele, we're requesting that this item be deferred until it can be brought before the personnel committee of the board.
Okay. Letter D, grants and contracts and MOUs. Dr. Croom.
As a part of the shifting of certain grants into Metro Action Commission that were formerly administered by NCAC, the Cities for Financial Empowerment Fund, which is a $40,000 grant to improve the financial stability of households with low and moderate income by embedding financial empowerment strategies to support summer jobs, is coming into Metro Action Commission. As a consequence, we're asking the board's approval of this $40,000 grant.
Okay, who'd like to make a motion to approve that $40,000 grant?
This is Leslie. I make the motion to approve the $40,000 grant.
Thank you, Wayne. A second.
This is Benita. I second.
Thank you very much. Any questions or concerns about receiving money? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Anyone who disapproves, say no. Any abstentions? Motion is carried. Thank you. Roman numeral 6, program report. Public information?
No report, ma'am.
All right. Letter B, community programs. This is an attachment. Any questions, concerns? Nope. Letter C, Head Start and early Head Start.
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, Dr. Crum, has there been a plan for restarting Head Start program for the fall?
There's been discussion. There's a webinar that's happening next week with the federal government to talk about the restarting or us coming back and the things that they would look or expect us to do in terms of precautions. So we've had several conversations, but we are still waiting on full guidance from them in terms of how we might approach it. It's just a really tenuous thing right now, as you can imagine. We're also watching what the schools are doing. But I think Farah mentioned that webinar is next week with the Office of Head Start with programs across the country, just to talk about what the expected process will be for how we bring children back into the building.
All right, thank you.
And yes, let me add, I was on mute as well, but we have established a committee to plan for the reentry of children into our facilities in the new school year. We know that service delivery is going to look a lot differently due to COVID-19. So we have established a committee to discuss things like social distancing, how we're going to serve meals to the children, what our hours are going to look like. So we've established a group of individuals so we can discuss how that will look. In our last policy council meeting, some parents did express a desire to serve on that committee or to have those discussions with us. The other thing that I wanted to highlight is that we are currently preparing our sites to receive the early Head Start children who were being served at McNeely. So classrooms that were serving 4-year-old children are being adjusted physically to ensure that we're ready for our early Head Start children, the youngest of whom will be 6 weeks of age. And that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ponder. Thank you. All right. Letter D, Policy Council. Thank you so much for these minutes. We appreciate them. Anything more from Policy Council?
Not at this time.
All right, thank you. Letter E, Administrative Operations, and it's been included in the Director's report. Okay. Letter F, Human Resources. There's an attachment. Anything else from Human Resources? Nope. Okay. And letter 6, Executive Director Evaluation. Leslie Buggs, please.
Hello, everyone. So it was time for us to do our evaluation of Dr. Crum and.
Excuse me, Dr. Steele.
Yes.
This is Cynthia Crum. I will be muting and walking away during this discussion. Someone will notify me when the board is done.
Yep. Thank you.
Crum, it's Casey. Should the rest of the staff also be leaving the room?
The rest of the staff is left.
It's up to them what they do, but I will be leaving.
All right, sorry.
That's okay.
I dropped for a second.
It's okay.
Leslie?
Yeah. Okay, so as I was saying, the ad hoc committee and myself have met a few times about the executive director evaluation. We completed it, and we have presented, myself and Dr. Steele presented it to Dr. Crum yesterday. We gave her outstanding, and were able to give examples of everything that she got outstanding in. We also discussed some of her job performances, and if everybody isn't aware, I'm just going to give you a few of the things that we did talk about. I spoke with Kristen Wilson in the mayor's office, who had nothing but great things to say about her. So she has formed a great partnership with the mayor's office, explaining to them the big purpose that MAC has, and the problems that are facing our families in Nashville. She also has, well, Metro Action is still a widely recognized, preeminent, premier community action agency. As you all know, last year we were awarded the highly competitive grant from the Kresge Foundation. We also an award recipient from the National Community Action Partnership, Community of Practice. We're a member of several groups, including but not limited to the Procurement Standards Board, the National Community Action Partnership, CSBG Working Group, and the Tennessee Association of Community Action Board member. We're the Region 4B representative to the National Community Action Partnership, Human Capacity and Community Transformation Steering Committee, which actually establishes policies for all community action networks. She spoke on numerous platforms. She presented at the Harvard University Leadership for a Networked World, the Kresge Next Generation Leadership Academy. She presented at a 2Gen Whole Family webinar to the CAA Network and partners. And she was chosen as one of 3 organizations to represent the 1,000-member CAA network to be a panelist for Community Action Agencies in Action, which is a briefing hosted by the National Community Action Partnership and the Kresge Foundation, and it's all hosted by the National Community Foundation. Some of the developmental goals that we discussed for Dr. Crum for the following year, or the upcoming year, is going to be continuing implementation of a 5-year succession plan. And that includes development of timelines and benchmarks so that we know exactly where we are in this succession plan, development of an evaluation instrument to assess the internal and external impact of the acquisition of NCAC. Sorry, I'm at the daycare. And then develop and implement long-term organizational adjustments as necessary due to COVID-19, an advanced position of Metro Action as a next-gen organization using the next generation's 9 key traits, and to continue to utilize data and outcome from the impact summary and the 2Gen Whole Family Initiative. We did recommend a raise, but we do understand that there are budgetary constraints. But we do recommend that if Metro provides any kind of increase, that she is allowed to receive it also. Any questions? I'm sorry, I know that was fast.
That's okay. Any questions?
Leslie, it's Casey. I just want to say you did an outstanding job with that process. I know it was a lot, but you crushed it.
Thank you.
I have to say that's pretty quiet for a daycare center.
It's nap time, but I got parents that are not allowed in the building, and they're calling saying they're picking up, so I'm grabbing children and holding them in the office until they leave. So,
okay. Leslie, who else was on the committee?
It was myself, Casey Anderson, Benita Davis, Dr. Bethina Naba McKinney, and Dr. Oscar Gabor.
Okay, thank you. Committee members, you did an outstanding job, so thank you. And now we need to approve. We need to approve it before? Okay, all right. So we need a motion to approve the evaluation of the director.
So moved, Jim Harbison.
Thank you. We need a second.
Second.
Flo Kid second. All right. Any questions or concerns before we make the vote? All right. All in favor of approving the evaluation of the director's performance, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone who disapproves, say no. Any abstentions? Motion's carried. Thank you very much. All right. Now we'll bring her back into the room. Has she escaped?
She's in their office now.
Okay.
Dr. Crum, are you back on?
I am back on. Thank you.
Dr. Crum, this is Dr. Steele. Our Metro Action Commission has approved the performance evaluation of your performance for this organization unanimously, and we are very grateful to you for your hard work and leadership in the Metro Action Commission. Is there anyone else who'd like to make a comment about that?
This is Jim Harbison. I just want to thank you, Dr. Krim. You're tremendous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you.
All right. If there is no other business for this organization, our next meeting is what?
August.
August what?
I'll get the date. It's usually the last Thursday in the month.
All right. Our next meeting is August. And thank you for everybody for your hard work and for your patience with this whole process. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.